Welcome back to the Sports Lab podcast with me and my co-host Thomas Bailey. As we are on episode 29 now. Crazy that we've gotten this far. We've grown up to now 17 subscribers. A whole big 1-7. Really going up them ranks. But for today's episode, we're going to talk about last night's football game, prediction for the rest of the week, the poverty savers and why they are continuing to be poverty, the NBA Cup as it starts next week. With the actual semifinals and the qualifiers are finished. It's down to the final 8 teams, and we'll get into some MLB free agency. So you're not going to want to miss that. As we start with last night's game, Detroit wins 34-31 behind another Dan Campbell gutsy call to go for it on 4th and 1 to basically ensure that Green Bay didn't get a chance to match Detroit's field goal, and it paid off. A lot of people are questioning this decision, saying it's going to cost them in the playoffs. I'll toss it over to you to give your thoughts on that specific play and the game itself.
Well, to start it off here, I had a 27-24 final score, and I told my buddy on our other podcast it was going to be a game-winning field goal by Jake Bates, so I guess that I know how to predict some football games, as I was literally very close to getting this one perfectly accurate. However, even though I had the Lions, I do think that the way they won is a little bit unconventional. I understand that they had the 4th and inches. They go for it there. But, man, you have if not the second best power back in the league, at least top 5 in the league right now in David Montgomery in power back ratings, in my opinion. Just overall, being able to get 2 inches is all they needed realistically there. And I think he does that 95% of the time. I understand he got stopped on 3rd and inches, but realistically, with how good that Lions offensive line is, with how good Montgomery is, I think that they can get an inch on 2 plays. And obviously, I love the decision to go for it there. It pays off. And I understand you could say all you want about it could end up hurting them in the playoffs, because it definitely did last year against the 49ers. But in this game specifically, Dan Campbell is thinking ahead. He's thinking, we need to get this experience before the playoffs. So this time we're ready to go when those situations are calling for us. And I really love this move by him. On top of that, Jake Bates stays perfect, gets the game-winning field goal. Hell of a football game, back and forth for most of this one. Josh Jacobs' brother, what a game. You played great in a loss here, 3 touchdowns. But unfortunately, this Packers team just can't seem to really hang in there with the Lions and the Eagles. Of course, they lost week 1, although I kind of give them a little bit of an asterisk for that game, considering the shitty-ass field they all played on. But nonetheless, I do think that this Packers team is very good, and if anything else, they showed in this game that they can hang with the best in the NFC, and they'll be right there come playoff time. So hats off to them. Really good game from the Lions. They keep that streak rolling into what will be Buffalo next week, or technically they'll be at home, but still. Either way, a big game for them coming up. Lions get it done, move to 11 straight wins, obviously the most in franchise history. They've looked great. They have the most wins in franchise history with their 12th win this week.
That's crazy. That's
sad. And they sweep the opposition Packers for the first time in, I believe, 17 years or something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
So interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy how pathetic the Lions are.
I'm happy for them, though.
Oh, I'm happy for them, too. They're one of my favorite NFC teams to root for because of the GOAT MMG. I'm always going to root for MMG guys. So that's a big reason why I love Kenny Walker coming out of college, Michigan State guy. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. But yeah, my thoughts on the game is, I totally agree with Dan Campbell to go for it. You have David Montgomery, the best offensive line in the league, and you need a couple of inches. And it's not like you're at your own 40. You're at the 30. So if you don't get it, Jordan Love still has to drive down the field and get into field goal range.
And they had no timeouts.
Exactly. They have 40 seconds, no timeouts to go 40 yards to get in field goal range to win it. If they don't, then you just go to overtime. You live to fight another day. But if you do get that, you basically, it's a nail in the coffin. You win the game. You win the game as long as Jake Bates can make a 35-yard kick, which with how good he's been this year, that's basically free money. He hit that right down the middle. Everyone knew that was going in. He was 4 for 5 and going for 4th down in this game. That's his thing. He goes for it on 4th down, and it works. On 4th and 1, with that good of an offensive line and that good of a power back, even in Buffalo, we don't have nearly a good offensive line, and I would have wanted to go for it. I would have just been like, Josh, go get us those yards with a QB sneak. When you're that good at when the teams are that good at short yardage situations, when it comes down to it, you have to trust it. we are the same way. We're really good at those 4th and 1s for a different reason because we have Josh with the QB sneak, them with Dave Montgomery on those halfback dive, halfback powers. But still a similar thing. It's you trust. How many times do you see the Bills punt on 4th and 1? It's extremely rare because we know on 4th and 1, 4th and inches, you just go up the QB sneak with Josh and it's going to work out a very high percentage of times. So when you trust your team that much, it makes total sense. So I completely agree with that. The big issue I have from this game is Jared Goff. How come every time I bet on Amon-Ra, you don't throw him the fucking football? I needed 27, or I think it was, I needed like 15 more Amon-Ra yards and an Amon-Ra touchdown to win $110. Every other line hit. I needed 17 more. I needed 17 more Amon-Ra yards and a touchdown to win $110 because I had Monty touchdown, Josh Jacobs touchdown, Tim Patrick on his over, Lions money line, and Goff to throw a touchdown. I had all those. I just needed more Amon-Ra. The same thing happened last week when I bet on the Lions-Bears game. Amon-Ra didn't hit his over, didn't hit his touchdown because Goff didn't throw him the fucking ball. Throw to Amon-Ra. He's your best.
Yeah, I know
best
how
player
it's
in
like
offense.
to lose like that, man. Trust me. A couple weeks ago, I mean, it's almost been a month, I think now. But the Packers played the Cardinals one week, and it was like Josh Jacobs and James Conner to get 25 yards in each half, like rushing yards in each half. And I was like, oh, that's free money. And James Conner got 24 yards in the second half after getting 46 in the first half. Josh Jacobs was well on his way to 100 yards in that game. So it's the only part that didn't cash. And I put $25 on it to win $182. And I lost it because he couldn't get 1 yard. I was absolutely devastated.
I mean, it's all right. I was up I won like $170 last week between two different bets.
Nice.
So, and what I did is I cashed out some money and then I kept 40 of it. So I have $40 to work with for some bets. So now I'm down to 30 to work with for bets for the weekend. That's basically what I do. I always make sure I have 30, $40 in there so I can just hit bets. And then if I win, if not, I just put more money in, whatever.
Right.
But for the game itself, this Lions team is looking more and more beatable every single week. I'm glad actually that the Lions won this game because I feel like if they lost this game, they play even better next week. They come in pissed off that they lost the game at home, where now you have the same amount of losses to the Eagles. If you lose that game, you lose onto the 1 seed. Now they still have that cushion because they have the tiebreaker with the Eagles because I think like conference record or whatever, where if they lose to Buffalo and the Eagle, they're sitting at, they both have 2 losses. The Lions still have the 1 seed. So they have a little bit of cushion. So I think them pulling out a game like that increases the Bills' chances of winning. Because the Lions these last 2 weeks, I mean, they had to win on Bears malfunction being the Bears, and then they just won on a game-winning field goal. I understand the Bears have looked better since they fired the coach, and the Packers are a good team, but they aren't blowing teams out looking unbeatable like they had earlier in the year. And even the Colts game, they won 21-6, but their offense didn't 24. Look that great. It was 20. They must have got a late field goal. It was 21-6 most of the game, most of the second half. Yeah. Their defense played well there, but their offense didn't look great against a bad Colts defense. Like, I just think that you can definitely attack this team, especially in that secondary. They play a lot of man coverage and they're very grabby. If you have a quarterback who can hit his throws, you can score points on this Lions defense. And obviously, Josh Allen, in my opinion, is the second best quarterback in the league. He can hit all those throws, and he's playing like the MVP right now. So I think he will. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but I might have to pick the Bills to win that game next week. Like it's gonna be a great game either way. But the Lions have looked decently beatable these last couple of weeks. So as a Bills fan, I'm excited to see that. But yeah, for the thoughts on the game, Packers still really haven't beaten a good team. So they haven't beaten a single team that's in the playoffs right now. They're 0-, or I think they're 1-3 now, maybe against teams in the playoffs.
Eagles, Lions twice, the Vikings they
lost.
So
1-4. So 1-4. I think they had a win. I can't
Cardinals.
think of
they beat the Cardinals.
Cardinals aren't in the playoffs. Oh, Texans. And you see how dumpster fire the Texans have looked recently. So it's not even that impressive of a win. So for the Packers, they might be a little bit on fraud watch just because they haven't been able to beat any good teams yet. But either way,
they've been hanging in there, though, I think.
They're a good team. They're a good team, but they might be on it like a pretender instead of a contender just because they can't beat these good teams, is what I'm saying.
True. One thing I want to mention before this game, before we move on from this one, though, would be all the bullshit I've seen on social media about the Thursday night game. Matt LaFleur getting pissed off that the same pick and roll they ran with Christian Watson that was called for the pass interference on him in the red zone or whatever when they got the touchdown. That play, Sam Laporta did the same thing apparently. And I watched the video back of the play that they were talking about. Laporta was 3 yards downfield when he pushed the Packer linebacker out of the way, versus Christian Watson was in the end zone when the team was at the 7-yard line. So he was 7 yards downfield, a whole 2 yards over the 5-yard limit. Laporta 2 yards under it. I don't understand why people were bitching about that. You're dumb if you are. Just learn how to do the rules. I get it. You think the refs sold you. And then the other thing is all the retarded college football fans that think that Jared Goff was down when his knee went down on the handoff to Montgomery. It's the NFL, buddy. He's got to get touched. He's got to get touched.
Yeah. Unless you're unless you're giving yourself up, which he clearly wasn't.
Yeah, he just tripped over the offensive lineman's foot. I thought they were going to fuck it up as soon as he tripped, but nonetheless, Lions get it done. Dan Campbell probably had his heart in his throat after that play. My God. At least we got the handoff off.
Exactly. All right, so moving on, it is now predictions. Thomas is currently 1 game up on me in predictions. I'm assuming you picked the Lions to win that game.
2.
Oh, you're 2. So you're 133 and 62.
I'm 132 and 63.
I'm 131 and 64.
Are you?
That's what I have it as because I just won that. Yeah. You forgot to give me the win did you add in my win from last night?
You'd be 131 and 65 if you added in the win from last night.
No, I'm 131 and 64. You just said you're 132 and 63.
Yeah. But if you're adding the win from last night. Oh, no, I'm not adding the win in for last night for me.
Oh, so you're 133 and okay.
If you add in the win from last night, I'm 133 and 63. Yes.
Okay. I
don't add the games from this week until right at the end for the next week.
Okay.
So right now, before this week started, you were at 130 and 65. I was at 132 and 63, and my buddy was at 141 and 54.
Damn, he's cooking.
No, he is cooking. He is cooking.
I mean, my game picks.
To be fair, I've just been stupid and made some dumb moves, like picking the Eagles to lose to the Ravens, Eagles to lose to a couple other teams.
I picked the Titans to lose to the first time.
Packers to lose to the Dolphins. I don't know what I was cooking on that one. I've had some stupid predictions. But,
kind of like me picking the Titans to upset the Commanders, just because I want to pull off one of those upsets where some big upset happens and be like, yeah, I called it.
My friend last week, he went 15-1, and the only game he got wrong was the Colts-Patriots, and he was pissed because the Colts won it right at the end.
Oh, I was happy to help me win $100 because I had.
He would have been perfect. He would have been perfect.
Oh, he wasn't. So, all right. Well, moving on to NFL predictions this week. Not gonna lie, is pretty shit. Other than I would say 2 or 3 games. We're gonna start off with one of the shitty games. The Saints travel to New York to take on the Giants for all 5 people that'll be in attendance. Who do you think wins this game?
I have to go New Orleans. This is a battle of 2 crap teams, but the Saints have showed a little bit more than the Giants have this season, especially as of late. The Saints have just been a little bit better of a football team under Darren Rizzi. I think him and the Rizzler should make some kind of collab. That'd be kind of funny. But nonetheless, as pathetic as that would be, it's not as pathetic as the New York Giants are this season. So to be fair, I have to go ahead and give the Saints this win. I do think that because of the Saints' injuries, the Giants do get a touchdown, which they haven't really been able to experience much of this season. But 20-13, I'll go ahead and give the Saints a W in this one, moving to 5-8 in that shitty-ass NFC South.
Wait, the Giants know what a touchdown is?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Beats me. I thought they only knew about giving up touchdowns to the other team. Or defense is scoring touchdowns on them like last week. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints in this one. The Giants suck. They know they suck. They've given up on the season because they're already eliminated from the playoffs. And even before that, they'd already given up on the season. They're not a very good football team. Obviously, they're just kind of racing to get that number 1 pick to get a new quarterback. The Saints at least have been playing better. And because of how shitty the NFC South is, they win this game. They could legitimately, if everything goes right, they could be a game back of that division, sadly. I'm not going to say what I pick for other games, but I don't think that'll be the case. But they'll be probably 2. They can, if they win, they're only 2 games back, and they still play some of these other teams that are in the division that they could jump. So they're kind of, their playoffs hopes are on the line with this game. If they really want to make a run and win that shitty division, they have to start by beating the shitty Giants. And I think they will. I'll go with 21-14 just because I want Drew Lock to get 2 passing touchdowns for my super flex team because I have to start him due to Anthony Richardson being on a bye. And if I need to win this week to clinch the 2 seed and get a first round bye. So, not much to say. These two teams suck. The Saints suck less. Pretty simple. Moving on to our next game, we have the Steelers looking to get revenge against the Cleveland Browns.
I think that this time they do get this win. They're at home. Their playoff implications are right there. I understand the Browns played great last week, but I feel like the Browns are one of those teams where at least since Jameis Winston's been in, they've had the games where like they'll put up a really close fight or win one, and then they'll just be complete shit in the next game. Like started with the Ravens game, they would come out and surprise everybody and win. Then they have the Chargers game where they just implode and play like crap. And then of course the Steelers win and then follow it up with a loss. And now they just had a good game against the Broncos and lost. So they're on track to lose this one by a lot. I think they do 27-13. Give me the Steelers in this one. They're at home. Needed a lot more than the Browns do. Jameis Winston's not going to be eating a W today. Go ahead and give me the Steelers in this one.
Yeah, I have the Steelers also. I just think it's going to be a lot closer. Give me 24-20 Steelers. I think with that defense and with the fact that Jameis Winston will just sling it around, I think they're going to be able to at least keep it semi-close. The Steelers seem to always, at least recently, have kind of struggled against the Browns over these last few years. So I think that continues, but I think they do pull out the win as they just are the better team, better coach team, better quarterback. I mean, they're basically better everywhere. So because of that, I'm going to go with the Steelers at home to be able to pull this one out. As we move on to our next game, which is looking like it's going to be one of the better games of the week, but that's not really saying much as we have the Vikings hosting the Atlanta Falcons.
Go ahead and give me Kirk in this one. I think the Falcons finally right the ship. Yeah, I know you're giving me the look, man. I understand it. I do.
Smith look.
Yeah, I know, but here's the deal. Just like Geno Smith kept the receipts, I think Kirk Cousins did too. Kirk Cousins has not played his best football lately. I understand that. Neither have the Falcons by a mile. They were 6-3 at one point, now sitting at 6-6, tied with the Bucs for the division. I think that this is going to light a fire under Kirk, though. Being a game against his former team, I think that this is something that, can get him back on track. I mean, he really needs it. We're not in November anymore. November's like the worst month of his life, apparently, for Kirk Cousins. So finally in a December setting, I think he'll get back on track. I think this is going to be a good football game, very close. I think the Vikings have played a lot closer of games than people are giving them credit for. I mean, they almost lost to the Cardinals last week. They've had a few games in a row where they've almost lost. Really, I think this is finally the one where it catches up to them. And I know I've been saying that for a few weeks. I know that there's always that chance that it's probably not going to happen. But we were just talking about it. You want to predict one of those crazy upsets? I think that this is an upset that's going to happen. Go ahead and give me Kirk Cousins and the Falcons to get this one done on the road, 21-17, as he takes down his former team.
Yeah, I am not picking the upset here. I get what you're saying. The Vikings haven't looked great recently, winning a lot of one-score games. The Falcons have looked worse. They're either losing one-score games or getting blown out. Kirk
Cousins, but at the same time, they're just so inconsistent to the point where you never know if they're gonna show up or if they're not. And realistically, they haven't showed up in 3 straight weeks. I like the odds of at least 1 of 4 games where they actually show up. And I think I just
don't see how Kirk's gonna be able to survive that pressure. Brian Flores is gonna cook up blitzes, and Kirk Cousins is basically a statue at this point. I could see them trying to rely on the run with Bijan and leading that to be able to win the game, control the ground game, because that is kind of how you can get after Minnesota. You saw, obviously, Detroit was able to beat them and stop this offense because they were able to do that.
If there's a secondary that can stop Jettas and Addison, then it's going to be A.J. Terrell, Jesse Bates, and Simmons.
Yeah, and also for the fact that to be able to beat the Vikings secondary, you need someone who can step in on pressure and hit throws all over the field, which Kirk can do, kind of like how Stafford did with the Rams. So those are 2 ways you can kind of beat this Vikings defense. But at the same time, I just think this pressure is going to get to Kirk. He's looked really bad recently. I think that continues. I don't think it's inconsistent at this point. I just think he's kind of washed. I just don't really see a lot there for him. He just can't move at all. And at least in years past, he can kind of move around in the pocket. He can't even really do that. And I think this pressure really gets to him. And Sam Darnold's been playing a lot better these last couple of weeks. I know you said if anyone can shut down Justin Jefferson, it's that Falcons secondary, but outside of Jalen Johnson, no one's been able to shut down Justin Jefferson, and no one in this Falcons secondary touches the level of Jalen Johnson this year. none of them are going to be as good. So unless they want to double and then have Hawkinson and Jordan Addison eat, which I hope doesn't happen. I need Jettis to have a good game this week in fantasy. But anyways, I think that Sam Darnold's been playing better. The run game's been good since Aaron Jones is getting back to full health. TJ Hawkinson's obviously added another layer to this offense. And I just really like this Falcons team. Even though they've been winning close, they've been finding ways to win games. And I think they find another way to win this game. I'll go with 27-21 Vikings. As we move on to our next shitty game, the Buccaneers take on the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, and a rematch of Super Bowl I think it would be 37 in 2003. I think it'd be funny if they threw out,
when I was born.
I feel like it'd be kind of funny if they threw out Desmond Ritter to come out and play kind of in memory of what happened with John Gruden.
He's too busy delivering DoorDash packages.
Oh my God, no! I know you saw that, but anyway, though, I do think that it'd be a funny thing considering John Gruden switched teams and then won the Super Bowl with the Bucs that year against his former team. So kind of funny if Desmond Ritter does the same thing, kind of where
Desmond Ritter was on the Falcons.
No, I know, but I'm saying where he comes in for the Raiders and he beats the Buccaneers because he was 2-0 against them when he played.
Okay.
So it's same basic premise, I guess, in a sense. He knows how to beat them, basically, is what I'm saying. But either way, I give me the Bucs in this one. I had to fill up some time somehow, but 28-14 Buccaneers dominate this game. I think they put them away by halftime. This Raiders team's looking uninspired more and more each week. They're playing for a top 5 pick to go and get a new quarterback because Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew are just not it. I love Stash Man. And AOC's a solid guy, but they're not the guys in Las Vegas. Go ahead and give me the Bucs to win this one as they fight for that NFC South division title.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bucs in this game. Also, I think it's going to be a blowout. I'll go 31-17. I just think this Raiders defense, they've kind of given up and they're injured. They're just not very good. I'm
hoping they have a good game. Baker Mayfield's on my fantasy lineup this week.
I think the Bucs can score a lot of points. I think the Raiders can kind of keep this close at first and maybe get a garbage touchdown at the end. I mean, Brock Bowers is the one shining light on this team. He should be the offensive rookie of the year. This dude's been cooking. Well, so I think with a mixture of him and how good Jacoby Myers has been playing decently, I think they can put up some empty numbers and put up some empty points to kind of make this score look a little bit more respectable. But either way, the Bucs are going to win this game in a blowout. 31-17. As we move into our next probably blowout, the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Carolina Panthers.
I think this one will be decently close. Don't get me wrong. The Panthers haven't looked great, but they haven't looked bad either. They kept it close with the Chiefs, although it's probably not saying much considering everybody's been keeping it close with them. But again, last week gave the Bucs everything they had when the Bucs knew full well if they won that game, they were going to be tied to the division lead. So realistically, this Panthers team's looked better. Bryce Young's got his confidence back. He's got that swagger. He has time in the pocket. Pretty solid offensive line. They've shown that this last couple of weeks. An Eagles defensive front that's very solid. It's going to be interesting to see who wins this game. I think that this is a very much so could be a statement game for this Panthers offensive line. If Chuba Hubbard has a big day, I would expect it to be them the reason why, considering how good the Eagles' rush defense has been this season. So realistically, they have the chance for it to be a statement game. I don't think it will be, but I'm saying that it could be. Go ahead and give me the Eagles, though, 31-21. Panthers keep it decently close, but I think the Eagles pull away. No Dallas Goedert in this game as well. Devontae Smith back from the hamstring injury, so he will be good to go. Forgot to mention this for the Steelers-Browns game. Alex Highsmith is going to play, but George Pickens was downgraded to questionable and most likely won't play in this football game. So Interesting news for that game as well. But nonetheless, back to this one, Eagles-Panthers. Go ahead and give me Philadelphia to win this one at home. Pencil them in for another victory. I've been doubting them these last couple weeks, but I'm not going to doubt them against Carolina. So go ahead and give me Philly.
Fuck. What? You bitch, George Pickens. I'm going to keep him in the lineup right now. I guess I can move him to my flex.
There's a chance he still plays, by the way. Also, breaking news. Urho Vakananen and a future 4th-round pick are sent to the New York Rangers as the Anaheim Ducks acquired Jacob Trouba.
That's not break. I knew that. That's why. Why do you think I made the palm tree joke?
No, I know what I'm saying. Still,
that was Yeah, I was gonna bring that up in the Sabres segment. That was released like an hour and a half ago.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. You know what?
Yeah,
Whatever. You know
I
what?
get what you're saying. I appreciate it, but no, I was gonna bring I was gonna bring that up in the Sabres segment. I thought I
Oh,
said that's why I'm like, oh, we could have just given up Yoki Haru in a fourth because of the package I
yeah.
saw.
That's true, but still, that's true.
We'll get into that later when we talk about how depressing the Sabres team is. But back to
Ooh.
football, Eagles versus Panthers. Give me the Eagles 30-20. I think that you're right. The Panthers have been playing pretty good football comparative to what they were earlier in the year. Obviously, they beat the Giants, not really saying much. Kept it with the close to the Chiefs, not really saying much. Kept it close to the Bucks. Again, not really saying all too much. It's not like they're keeping it close as like the Bills or the Eagles who they play this week. They haven't shown that, but they are keeping it close. One thing I am worried about is Saquon Barkley having another absolutely insane performance and then somehow jumping Josh Allen for MVP because I just want Josh to get it this year. And it could happen. This Panthers run defense is so bad.
Oh yeah.
Saquon
No
could
Derek Brown either.
Saquon could realistically go for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns, and I would be like, yeah, not surprised there. I am starting him in a league, so it'd be cool for that. But for the fact that I want Josh to an MVP, and I think he does because he's a quarterback and Saquon's a running back, playing behind that offensive line, different discussion. But yeah, I think that Saquon's going to go absolutely insane and carry them to this win. Yeah, but I think the Panthers and Bryce Young, the way they've been playing, can at least keep this game semi-close. So give me 30-20. I think the Panthers get a garbage touchdown at the end, hopefully to Adam Thielen to make this game look a little closer than it is. Also, because I took Panthers plus 12, so I need them to cover for that. Moving on to our second to last 1 o'clock game, another dog shit game. The Jaguars and the Titans battle off for the battle of who gives a shit.
Honestly, this game is actually really huge for overall seeding for the
Overall pick.
first overall
Yeah, it
pick.
matters for the but
Fun fact to kind of mention here: if the Giants were to beat the Saints and the Jaguars beat the Titans would hold the number 1 overall selection after this week, I believe.
the Raiders.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. Yep. But still, they would be second then in that. But if the Jaguars lose and the Jaguars remain the top spot, I believe that would be the same. So realistically, it's a pretty big game for like just overall seeding for the draft. But I'm gonna have to go with the team that actually has their starting quarterback playing. Not saying much, obviously being Will Levis, but give me the Titans in this game. I think it's gonna be back and forth. It's gonna be pretty close. It's gonna be a lower scoring game. Obviously, I don't think the Jags defense is all that great, but I mean Will Levis is not either. So. And then on the other side, Mac Jones against this Tennessee defense is just not going to have a good day. I think it's going to be back and forth, but I think Tennessee gets this one done 17-16, a low-scoring duel between AFC South opponents in what is probably going to be one of the worst games of the week. It's going to contend there with the Giants and Saints game. So go ahead and give me the Titans to win this battle of two shit teams.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Titans, but I think they're going to win by a lot more. I'm going to go 24-13. Will Levis over the last month has at least looked respectable. He's looked decent. I mean, 17 against the Chargers, who have a really good defense, isn't bad. 13 against the Vikings. It's 2 touchdowns. I think they missed an extra point if I was correct. Or no, it's just a touchdown and 2 field goals. Then 32 against the Texans. I understand the Texans haven't been playing good. And then 19 last week. These numbers don't look great. But from what the Titans defense was looking like, and 20 the week before, but from what this Titans offense was looking like prior to that, I don't think it's that bad. I think they found something in Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. They've been throwing him the ball a lot more. He's been making some big plays. I'm starting him this week in a must-win fantasy league. So hopefully he has another touchdown. That's kind of what I'm betting on. But anyways, this Jaguars team with Mac Jones is disgusting, god-awful, terrible. The team in general is bad with Trevor Lawrence. Now you go from Trevor Lawrence to Mac Jones. It's ew. It's I think the Panthers, week 1 Carolina Panthers could beat the Jaguars without Mac Jones, or with Mac Jones. I think this Jags team with Mac Jones is that bad. They only have one person worth anything on that offense, Brian Thomas Jr. And then on defense, they have a couple of pass rushers who have been this year.
Josh
That's
Allen,
really about it.
Walker.
Yeah, they've been all right. Trayvon Walker's been pretty good. Josh Allen's been kind of underwhelming. So overall, coaching's awful. Roster's awful. Quarterback because of T-Law being out is also awful. This team sucks. Give me the Titans to win this game handily. As we move on to the final 1 o'clock game, the Miami Dolphins host the New York Jets with their playoff lives on the line. Will the Jets play spoiler in this game, or will the Dolphins come out on top?
I swear to God, the Dolphins are are Goldilocks of these NFL, man. Like, too cold, they suck against the Bills. Too hot, they're too good against the Patriots. Just right is them against the Jets. They're just so inconsistent. You never know which team's winning these kinds of games. Tua in his career, I believe, is 3-3 against the New York Jets. This is a chance to, even that out. Maybe 4-2, something like that. But either way,
I think they have the Jets number. I think Tua is really good against the Patriots and the Jets. I think it's only the Dolphins he's strong. I know last year he was
the
2-0.
Bills, I mean, but
I
do think that this is going to be a very close game. I think that the Jets love to play spoiler to teams that are right there in the hunt. This Jets team is right there to just kind of ruin them every single time. Almost ruined the Seahawks last week. They've had a couple games where they messed with the Texans, everything like that. So I do think this game's pretty close, but go ahead and give me Miami. I can't shy away from the fact they're at home in this one. If they were in MetLife playing in New Jersey this game, I think that this would be maybe a Jets win, especially with the weather we've been having up here in the north. But I'm going to have to say Miami gets this one done at home, as realistically, there's just not much else to really be done for this New York Jets team. They're very dysfunctional. They just need to find some kind of groove, and right now they haven't found it. So go ahead and give me the Dolphins to win this game, beating the Jets 20-17 in a close game.
Yeah, I have the Jets or Dolphins winning this game. I have them winning by a little bit more. I have 27-20. I think the Jets can keep this close, but the Jets will find a way to lose because that's what the Jets do. They find ways to lose football games. And the Dolphins are playing for their playoff lives. I understand last week they didn't look good against the Packers because it was in the cold, but before that they were looking pretty good. Obviously, barely lost to the Cardinals, barely lost to Austin, beat up on some bad teams. Well, they're playing another bad team. So I think they end up taking care of business. I would love to see the Jets lose or win this game so the Dolphins miss the playoffs because it would be a big fuck you to Dolphins fans on Twitter. It'd be pretty funny. But yeah, not really much to say. Dolphins are more talented. Dolphins have the better quarterback.
They
Dolphins
need it
are
more.
the better coach team.
A lot.
Dolphins need it more. Yeah, Jets kind of giving up on their season. So yeah, I think the Dolphins win this game. As we move into the first of the 3-4 o'clock games, the Seahawks and the Cardinals play each other for the second time in 3 weeks. Who do you think wins this game?
Well, last time it was in Seattle, and it was a 16-6 loss for Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. I do think that this time they get the revenge, though. They've split the last 2 season series against the Seahawks. I think they do it again. Arizona's at home, which they played infinitely better at this season. And for that reason alone, I think that this team's going to put up a hell of a fight. Realistically, this Cardinals offense was a big concern coming into the season. It's been mitigated, to say the least, this year. The one guy I'd like to see get a little bit more involved, obviously, is Marvin Harrison Jr. And then on the Seahawks side, they haven't played that great these last couple weeks. Almost lost to the Jets last week. But nonetheless, I think that they're a good enough football team to keep this one close. I think that this is going to be a very big football game because it's for the division. This is for the division lead. And I'm going to go ahead and say that the Cardinals get this one done. A 27-23 win at home to reclaim the top spot in the division.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals also take care of business here. Very close game. I could see the Seahawks end up winning this game, but it's the NFC West. Everyone's beating up on everyone. And I want the Cardinals to win because I still want the Rams to make the playoffs. And I don't see them beating the Bills. And so I think they moved to 6-7. So if the Cardinals beat the Seahawks here, then they still only stay a game out of the
if the
division.
Cardinals beat the Seahawks and the Rams and then the Niners win and the Rams win, which obviously the Rams win's a little bit more unlikely, they'd all be 7-6 tied for first place right now. And even if the Rams and 49ers somehow find ways to lose, as long as the Cardinals win, they're all within one game because Rams and Niners would be 6-7. So
the Niners would have to win to be 6-7.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Niners win, which is the more likely situation I meant. Like, the more likely situation is the Niners probably win, and then the Rams probably lose. And then, obviously, the Cardinals Seahawks could go either way. So 6-7 would be very interesting to see, and then 7-6 for the other two. So very interesting division, to say the least, right now. The most interesting one out of all 8, in my opinion.
Yep. But, yeah, I have the Cardinals winning this game. for the reasons you gave. They're way better at home. They usually split the season with the Seahawks. None of these teams are that good where they're kind of just all mid-ish. Maybe the Rams might be a little bit better. They just have a worse record because of the injuries they dealt with. But either way, they're all kind of in that mid-ish tier. 500. I think all of them are going to end up between like 8-9 and 10-7. And a Cardinals win here would kind of go on that track. They are favored. I do think they win this game. Kyler kind of either has a good game or a bad game. These last 2 weeks, he hasn't really had great games, so I think he bounces back with a better game this week at home. As we move into our second of the 4 o'clock games, we have the Chicago Bears traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers.
I'm not going to lie. I think it's kind of funny that at the start of the season, the Bears are like, no, we're not going to try to get Jim Harbaugh. We're going to lean with Matt Eberflus. And now Matt Eberflus is gone, right?
They also could have got Ben Johnson, too.
Yeah, they could have. And, they decided to, be the fucking Chicago Bears and decide not. And, what's the funniest part about this whole situation is a man by the name of Thomas Brown is now their head coach. You know what his title was to start the season? The quarterback coach. The quarterback coach moves up to offensive coordinator after the firing of Luke Getsy, and now here he is as the head coach after Matt Eberflus is gone. What the hell are we doing, Chicago? What the hell are we doing? No disrespect to Thomas Brown by any means. I mean, love the name, bro. Same name as me, but
that's a shitty name.
Same initials as well with the TB. He knows what's up, but I do think that they keep it close. I do think that the interim coach effect always has one bad effect. There's always one team in the midst of everybody having that resurgence where all these teams in the league have that one coach. There's always that one guy who doesn't turn the team around, where the team just stays where they are, even though they fired their head coach every single season. We're used to calling out the Antonio Pierces, where they make a late run and look like really good with an interim head coach, or the Darren Rizzies, I guess, of this year. But we never talk about the other side of the coin here, and that's just the teams that don't get better after firing their head coaches. I think that the Bears will be one of them. One's a dysfunctional franchise, always a dysfunctional franchise. I'm a goddamn Sabres fan. I understand the pain. I know it will continue. I hope it doesn't, but it will. And as a fan of one sports team that's never going to change, Chicago, I'm sorry, it's over. 24-21 Niners win. They need this game so damn bad. They're going to come out feisty. They're going to come out and win this game. Thomas Brown, hats off to a good season and a good little upgrade, I guess, but it's done for Chicago.
Yeah, I am actually, this is where I'm picking my upset. I am picking the Chicago Bears to beat the 49ers. The Chicago Bears have actually played pretty good these last couple weeks. They lost to the Packers on a blocked field goal. They went to overtime with the Minnesota Vikings. They were that close to beating the Detroit Lions. All 3 of those teams have 9 or more wins, while the San Francisco 49ers have just been getting blown out these last couple weeks because they have so many injuries, and the injury bug hasn't stopped. They're now without their top 2 running backs, Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk, and Nick Bosa. All these guys are not playing, and they just don't really have a lot. Those are the guys they rely on because they're paying all these guys so much money. They don't have a lot of depth, and without that depth, without those star players, the depth's kind of getting exposed. You bring up the interim head coach, even though they don't always work down the stretch, they always work for the first game. Like almost always look at Jeff Saturday when the Colts hired him. They beat the Raiders their first game and then got blown out every other game. It always seems to work for 1 week. The Jets, after firing Saleh, almost beat the Bills, and that's obviously a very good team. And then since then, they've been awful. It always seems to at least work for the first week.
See, almost they almost beat them.
Yeah, but almost was the one. And then I said, but again, that's against a way better team like the Bills. The 49ers, as we saw last week, are not as good as the Bills.
Right, that's true.
So I do think and also Caleb Williams is playing some really good football these last couple of weeks, and I think because of that they get the win. I'm just checking up the Niners injury report to make sure those guys are still all out, like Trent Williams and Nick Bosa, if my phone will load any faster. But I think either way, they just kind of just seem out of it this year. Like they have the Super Bowl hangover. They're dealing with a lot of injuries, and Trent Williams didn't practice at all this week. Nick Bosa didn't practice at all this week. They have a bunch of guys who were limited in practice. So they have a bunch of guys banged up who may or may not, who won't be 100%. This team's just so banged up. And because of that, I'm going to go with the Bears to get the upset win here. I really like the way the Bears offense has been playing behind Thomas Brown. Now he's the head coach, and he can bring that juice to the whole team. And I think they pull out this win 20. We'll go 27-20, I think. I think the Bears kind of win this game handily. Not handily, but I think they win this by a decent by a good
By
score.
7.
Look at the Niners the last 2 weeks. I understand playing way better teams have lost a combined, I think it's quick math 73-10. That's pretty awful. I understand the Bills and the Packers are way better or better than the Bears, and one of those games without Brock Purdy, but that's pretty awful. And then the Bears obviously playing good, and then the interim head coach thing. I think this is a game for them to win, to play spoiler and kind of put a nail in the coffin on this 49er season. As we move into the final 4 o'clock game, our Buffalo Bills travel to LA along with many of our fans, as it was reported that 37% of the tickets for this game are bought by Bills fans, which is absolutely insane. They're on the other side of the country, and we're still going to have almost or a little bit more than a third of the fans there being Bills fans. It's crazy how much Bills Mafia travels, and I love it. We are America's team. We're the best fans in the world. I don't care what anyone has to say. But yes, we are taking on the LA Rams. What are your thoughts? What are your predictions for this game?
I think this is going to be a very fun football game. It's going to be back and forth. I think the Rams really, really want this game. They're going to come out and they're going to play very, very good. But there's a guy on the other side who's been playing like the best player in all of football, and that's Josh Allen. And again, this week, I think he plays that way. I think he's going to get us over 30 points, which we've been over 30 points every week since week 8. I think that we continue that. I think we win this game 31-24. Bills dominate for most of this one. I think the Rams draw close near the end. They make it right there at the end. Matthew Stafford's the king of the comeback, but they don't get it done this time. In La La Land, Buffalo's 37%, you said, of the fans are Bills fans. Yeah, 37% of those fans are going to come home happy as Buffalo Bills win this one 31-24.
I also have the Bills winning, but I have us scoring more points. As this Bills offense has been rolling and this Rams defense is not that good.
Jared Verse is also questionable.
Even more reason. As we're also getting more healthy. I mean, Kincaid and Coleman might be back for this game. I don't know if they will, but even if they're not, I still think we have enough to be able to hang a lot of points on this team because of how good Josh Allen has been. As I think the Bills will win this game, I'll go 38-24. I maybe almost 38-31. Rams get garbage touchdown at the end. And I don't even think the Rams offense plays that bad. I just think this Bills offense is just going to just march up and down the field on this Rams defense. They can't really stop the run that well. And if you can't stop the run against the Bills, good luck. Because the way you beat the Bills, you have to get us out of running the ball, and you have to pressure our younger, inexperienced receivers and kind of put pressure on Josh to make perfect throws, which obviously we know he can do, but that's not what he relies on. He's not like this super accurate gunslinger. I'm not saying he's inaccurate, but he's someone who he's a playmaker. And the way you beat someone like that is you put pressure on him to make perfect plays, which he can do. And we've seen teams stop the run and then him still be an insane playmaker like the Chiefs. He can do it. But that is kind of the way, I guess, the formula, as you saw in the Texans and Ravens game, to try and stop the Bills' offense. I don't think the Rams are going to be able to stop the run. I think James Cook's going to run it down their throat. And then the play action and the passing attack behind that is going to absolutely cook this Rams secondary. That is just not that good. So I think it's going to be a lot of points. Josh Allen's going to solidify his MVP case as he looks to go into Detroit next week to basically lock up the MVP. If he plays great this week, goes into Detroit and gets the win next week, it's all but his, unless he just puts up like 3 straight stinkers to end the season. But yes, anyways, I think Stafford has a decent game, but the way the Rams offense works is, they try to get the run game going, but what they're trying to do is have Stafford throw it to Kupp and Puka, and we have one of the best cornerback rooms in the league. Taron Johnson, Christian Benford's only allowed 180 yards. Rasul Douglas is a good number 2 and has had multiple chances to get interceptions that he has just dropped. I think he's got there's so many you can count. So I think he maybe this is the game he finally breaks through and gets a pick that kind of flips the momentum in the game. It could be like a close game back and forth, like a 14-10, 17-14 type game. We get a pick, get a touchdown, and go up double digits, and then kind of just hold on from there. I could see something like that happening. Rapp's questionable, but either way, I think Cole Bishop can step in and be fine. I think this defense does enough. The kind of bend, don't break mentality is perfect for a game like this with how good Stafford and that passing offense can be. But yeah, 38-24 Bills win. As we move into probably the best game of the Sunday slate, it's either Bills, Rams, or this game. The Chargers travel to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. As I give it to you to give your predictions.
I think the Chiefs are a good football team, yes, and I do think the Chargers are as well. However, this is a game that's very intriguing to me. First time these two teams played, the Chargers were absolutely hammered with injuries. They didn't have Slater. They didn't have. I think
Bosa.
Joey Bosa didn't play. Khalil Mack was questionable. Did play, but didn't look great. Justin Herbert didn't even play. Very
Oh no,
well.
he did. Oh
No,
yeah,
I
he did
know.
play, just not very well. Yep.
No,
I get
yeah,
what you're
no.
saying.
He didn't play very well in that game. He had the one really good throw to Ladd McConkey in the end zone, but other than that, very quiet game for Herbert. So, interestingly enough, I think that this time around, the Chiefs and the Chargers are going to be very fun to watch, considering they actually have a competent head coach now. However, I think the Chiefs sweep them. I think they get this one done. It's going to be very close, very fun football game. I think it's a lot lower scoring than people expect. I think it's going to be probably 10-10 at halftime. But Chiefs, for some stupid, ungodly reason, keep winning games by one score, and I think that continues. A 24-20 win over the Chargers in Arrowhead. They do just enough and get the win.
All right, so this is going to be our third different pick of the week.
Whoa.
I think probably our third and only. I have a feeling we're going to pick the same for Monday night. Maybe not, but strong feeling we're going to be picking the same team. But I actually do think the Chargers win this game. This Chiefs team, you said the Chargers were hammered by injuries last time. The Chiefs are hammered by injuries this time. Since Jalen Watson went down, this Chiefs defense has not looked good at all because that cornerback room outside of Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson when he's healthy is pretty god-awful. So they really only have one. I understand the Chargers don't really have much receivers, but one thing they do have is a tight end, Will Dissly, who's kind of broken onto the scene in the last month and a half. And what are the Chiefs god-awful at doing? Stopping tight ends. They can't stop. Nick Bolton is running like a chicken with his head cut off in coverage. Leo Chanel, same thing. They're great in the run game. They're heat-seeking missiles in the run game, but they are so god-awful in pass coverage. So I think Herbert has a better game with his tackles back, and I think they do win this game. The Chiefs are due for like another. Everyone thought, after they lost the Bills, they're going to step up their game. There's going to be a wake-up call, and then they barely beat the Panthers and they barely beat the Raiders, two teams that have a combined 5 wins. Now they play the Chargers, who are kind of playing for seeding. Do they want to get that? Because realistically, if you're a wild card team like the Chargers are going to be, you would much rather get that 5 seed than that 6 seed, because that 6 seed, you're going to have to travel to either Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, or not Cincinnati, Baltimore or Pittsburgh. That 5 seed, you just travel to Houston and play the Texans, who have looked awful recently. So
Right.
Because of that, they're very motivated to win this game so they can stay in that 5 seed spot and take on the aforementioned Texans instead of the Ravens or the Steelers. So because of that, I think they come out, play this game hard. Maybe I'm just biased because I obviously want the Chiefs to lose. The Bills can get the 1 seed, but I get the Chiefs just keep finding ways to win. But a lot of earlier in the year, they were finding ways to win when they were more healthy against the good teams. Since all these injuries, they're finding ways to win against the bad teams. They haven't really played many great teams recently. Like, they barely beat the Raiders. They barely beat the Chiefs or the Panthers. They barely beat the Broncos. None of those teams are, I think, as good as the Chargers. The one team that they played that was better than the Chargers, they lost by 2 scores. And in that game, obviously, the Bills were without a lot of key pieces also that the Chargers are not.
You don't think the
Chargers,
Ravens are better than the Chargers?
I'm saying since a lot of these injuries have happened to the Chiefs, like the Rashee Rice injury, obviously that happened in the Chargers game, but the big one being the Jalen Watson injury. Their defense just looks so much worse since he's been out. He's obviously out again because it's a season-ending thing that he might be back for playoff time if they make it. But because of that, I think this is finally another loss for the Chiefs. I think the Chargers find a way to pull this game out and win this game. I'll go with 23-20, I'll say. Something in that range, kind of a lower scoring, not too low, but not too high, kind of in that middle range. It's what a lot of Chiefs games have ended up being. As we move into the Monday night game, Cincinnati travels to Dallas to take on the Bengals. Who do you think wins this game?
I'm going to be very brief. I think 31-10 Cincinnati wins this game. Cowboys, I don't think have won a game at home still to this point. Wait, no, they won the Thanksgiving game. So
Yeah.
finally they
But
have
that's against the
won.
Giants. That doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly, right. So they have to play the Bengals, who are a little bit more of a real football team than the New York Giants. Unfortunately for the Dallas Cowboys, they can't do much of anything. And much like Thanksgiving, I think they get stuffed in this game. I don't think they have much of a chance. So go ahead and give me Cincinnati 31-10 to round out this week.
I think the Bengals also in this game, but I think it's going to be even more high scoring. Give me 34-27 Bengals.
Whoa, 27? Oh,
the Cowboys have scored. They scored 34 against the Commanders. They scored 27 against the Giants. Both of those teams have better defenses than the Bengals.
That's true.
Like, this Bengals defense is god-awful, but what isn't god-awful is Joe Burrow. So I think he puts up a lot of points, and they win this game. But I just think this defense keeps it close because of how bad it is. So, yeah, 34-27. That's all we have for our predictions. So we have 3 different games this week. So if I sweep, I can take the lead, or I can basically put it out of contention for the rest of the season.
I don't know if sweep.
I have obviously the chance of me sweeping aren't very likely. Usually when we have different games, usually at least it's like a 2-1. Like if we have 3 different,
2-1 more than anything.
Yeah, one of us goes 2-1 against the other one.
I'm not gonna lie to you. If the Falcons beat the Vikings, I think I might sweep.
And I think that if the Bears beat the Niners, then I might sweep.
That's true.
I picked two decent size upsets. You picked another decent size upset. So obviously for upsets hit, we think we're going to sweep. So
yeah, right.
But that's fair. But that's it for the NFL as we move into more depression, I guess. The Buffalo Sabres, as you can see behind me, I am an unfortunate fan of this team.
As you can see behind me, I'm not stupid enough to show you guys that I'm a Sabres fan.
You only talk about it. Did you watch any of that press conference?
Not much of it, no. I didn't even think to.
Good for you.
I had class at 11:30, like 11:50. So.
Okay. I watched like 5 minutes of it and turned it off and just went to Twitter. You know your GM is not the right guy when every Sabres page and all the Sabres content creators are making bingo cards for what he's going to say at the press conferences. And then those bingo cards hit because he says the exact same shit we predict. Oh, yeah, we don't have an internal cap. Oh, yeah, we're looking at everyone, but we're just waiting for the right guy because we don't want to ruin our future. Oh, Terry's giving us every chance to win. Oh, but you have to look at the full picture. Our young guys are still on their production or whatever bullshit the Sabres aren't a destination city. It's kind of hard with all the – it's just the same shit over and over again. I'm just kind of sick of it. The Sabres aren't a destination place because we have taxes and other places have palm trees. I don't think there's a single palm tree in Canada. Shoot me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's probably a single palm tree in Canada. I'm pretty sure Canada has higher taxes than us. Massachusetts has pretty high taxes and they don't have palm trees. People go to Boston. The Rangers and the Islanders can get players. They can make the playoffs. They're dealing with the same taxes we are, and they sure don't have palm trees. Like, cut me a break. There's high taxes in California. I understand they might have the palm trees, but they have the higher taxes in New York. So most hockey players are used to the cold. They grew up in the cold. They're either from Canada, Northern United States.
They literally play on a sheet of ice.
Yeah, exactly. They play on a sheet of ice, and most of these players grew up in either Northern United States, Canada, or the cold countries in Europe, like Russia and Finland and Sweden. Like, they're used to the cold, so I don't think they really give a shit about that. Or how 2 days ago, Micah Hyde said he'd rather live in San Diego than Buffalo. So clearly it's not that big of a deal. The Bills are able to do it, and Kevin Adams even said it's because they're a winning team. So don't give me this bullshit. We have taxes and they have palm trees. Just absolutely pathetic response. Maybe if you could actually get a winning team and you didn't give away Sam Reinhart for a fucking bag of chips and refuse to give your star player the surgery he wants and let him go. I understand we got decent return from that. Or the best signing he's made his entire GM career is Jason fucking Zucker, who's never had more than 70 points in a season. That is the best player he has ever signed in free agency. Yeah, that is pathetic. True. Absolutely pathetic. If I don't care anymore, we don't make the playoffs, even if we miss by one goddamn point. if we don't make the playoffs, get the fuck out of town, Kevin Adams. I understand we've been in our arguments before. I am dead set on that. Unless we make the playoffs, I want a new GM next year. I do not care. I'm just sick of this shit. The Winnipeg game, but we played well. We fucking lost. Playing well in losses doesn't get you to the fucking playoffs. Winning games does. Like,
that's true.
It's bullshit. And then Jacob Trouba's available, and we don't want to give up a fourth. We could have given up a fourth or a fifth, and Henry Jokiharju. We can easily afford it. I understand it's a bad contract, but a fourth and Henry Jokiharju, and we could have had a huge upgrade over someone like Henry Jokiharju. I understand Jacob Trouba hasn't been great, but it's a veteran presence on a team that has consistently made the playoffs, has made it to the conference finals multiple times while Trouba was the captain. So, because I think that's a big issue with the Sabres team, is we have a lot of players that just came up through the Sabre way. They don't know what it takes to win, because they haven't experienced winning cultures other than kind of Bowen Byram, who was like very young, Connor Clifton, but he's not that great. Like, we don't have a lot of that experience. It's all guys we brought up. We need more veteran presence. Be like, no, this is how we do it here to win these games. Jacob Trouba's perfect like that. He was a captain for a team that made 2 conference finals. I understand he isn't playing great. Still way better than Henry Jokiharju. He'd be a much better pairing next to Owen Power. Our top 4 would actually, like our second line defense core with Power and Jacob Trouba would actually be pretty good. And then you can throw Clifton and Bryson / Gilbert on that third line. And our D core is looking a lot better, because I think Bryson's a good third pairing, but putting him next to Power in the second pairing is not very good at all. And also one more thing while I'm on my rant for the second straight podcast about this pathetic team. Goaltender interference is the most subjective call there is. That shit pissed me off. So it's apparently not okay to hit someone's skate, but it is okay to hit their glove. I'm confused how one's not goalie interference, but the other one is. If you're going to be consistent, if you're not going to call the first one where he hit his glove, then how are you calling it for hitting a skate? Like, I get it if you call both, fine. But calling one and not the other, that's what pisses me off. At least be consistent. Because they're either both goalie interference or neither of them are goalie interference. But of course, they only call the one that screwed us over. Whatever. We could have still won that game.
Coolidge just take the damn shot.
Yeah. I tweeted that out right as it happened. I was just about to get to that. While the last thing on my rant is going to be, what the fuck are you doing, Yuri Kulich? You're going to sit there and wait for Dylan Cousins and a defender to come over when you are wide open in front of the goalie, and you just sit there. You just sit there. Are you like, take a shot, take a move? You're a talented goal scorer. That is why you are a good prospect, because you know how to put the puck in the back of the net. So try and put the puck in the back of the fucking net. Because worst case scenario, you take like a slap shot there, you rebound it, and then Dylan Cousins is coming up from behind. Maybe he gets the rebound and can put it home. Or worst case scenario, they get possession, but our guys are still back. Instead of what happened, you waited for everyone to come up, then you turn over the puck and you give them a free shot at the net, and then we lose the game.
Yeah.
This team.
Another reason for that, though, is just if you're gonna take the shot, if you're not gonna take the shot there, you can't wait for Dylan Cousins, though. You just can't, because you got to think about it. You only have 3 people on the ice. If you're waiting for Dylan Cousins, and let's say the pass to Dylan Cousins gets intercepted or it gets messed up, you're looking at a 3-on-1. You're looking at a 3-on-1 the other way, and all of a sudden that's what happens. And all of a sudden, what a save by Luukkonen just for the rebound to go in.
Just for Byram to not be able to collect the puck when it's between his legs. And then he slammed his stick off the goalie. Yeah, you should be pissed off. I'm actually glad to see that. At least he realizes, I fucked up. I'm pissed off I fucked up. Maybe he'll work on that. Because as much as I like Byram for how good he's been offensively, I thought he just makes – him and Power just make too many defensive lapses to be top defensemen, and it just pisses me off. I didn't think I'd be able to, after the Avalanche game, I thought I'd be done. I'm like, whatever, I'll watch the game stress-free. Nope, I found ways to get more riled up again, because this team just I can't stop being a fan, but it's making me really hard to want to be a fan. I texted you yesterday. Tickets were available for $10. I saw you were at the game, and I still texted you, why would you go to this game? Like,
my buddy and I wanted to just get off.
Someone would have to pay me like $50 to go to that game. Well,
to be fair, I've never been to a Goatheads game, And so that's why I wanted to go. Also, just want to throw this out there. This is my little rant, I guess. Been to 3 Rochester Amerks games. We've won all of them, including one where I got to meet Casey Middlestat. That's why I cried when we traded him. So 3 games for the Amerks, all wins. Buffalo Bison's game we won. I'd been to 2 Sabres games before that we had won. That's 6-0. I've been to 2 Bills games, the Niners and Cardinals games this year that we had won. And I've been to 2 Binghamton Devils games when they were still in Binghamton that they had won both of as well. So the team I was rooting for in every professional sporting event I'd ever been to had won every single game I'd gone to until last night. And, of course, the one team to do it, the one team to lose, the Buffalo fucking Sabres, because why not? So 5 straight losses, an overtime one to Winnipeg. I understand they played hard. I understand they played good. Winnipeg's a good team. I don't fucking care anymore. I don't, dude. I absolutely don't. I get Winnipeg's 3rd in the league right now. Technically now 2nd because they won, because New Jersey's played a few more games than them. So they're bound to win again. What the hell, though? I understand. I understand. But at the same time, not even the goat heads can save us. Nothing can save us at this point. This team is just dysfunctional. This team's playing like complete garbage. And it's so annoying to watch. Being a fan of this team is so stupid. I'd rather just shove this pencil into my ear and see how far it goes, because it's going to go farther than the Sabres do in the playoffs, because we never fucking make it, because for some weird reason, this team's cursed. I don't understand it.
I saw an
very
interesting
annoying.
stat. You want to hear it?
No.
You have a higher chance of winning the 50-50 at the Sabres game than you do missing the playoffs 14 straight years in the NHL.
And with that, guys, we're going to see you guys next time. See you on Bubbles.
It's pathetic. That is like, it's like you literally can walk into making the playoffs of the NHL because of how many.
Dude, I have to mention this just because this is the most funny interaction I think I may have ever had in my entire life. I know we've all seen that meme of like, Dad, what's a quarterback? I don't know, son. We're Bears fans. I know we've all seen that, right? Well, guess what? Last night, there was this little 4-year-old kid with a Buffalo Sabres little goat head jersey on it. It didn't even have a number on it or a jersey, like what player it was. It was just a little Sabres, like, just shirt. Little black and red Sabres shirt. He had, like, a little plushie. He's one of, like, the kids' club members or whatever. And his dad's sitting next to him, and he's like, why didn't we just shoot the puck? And he's like, I don't know, son. Like, we just don't do that.
Sabres fans. Yeah, we're Sabres.
But he didn't say that. He just says, like, I don't know, son. Like, you know, like, and I'm just like trying not to laugh because me and Owen are sitting there, and this kid kept asking questions. He's like, why didn't our goalie try to save that one? And I'm like, you know what, you little shit, he tried his damnedest. We don't have a defense. Oh man, I hate this sport so much. The worst part is I paid $12 for my ticket. Got kicked in the back by this little kid so many damn times, and it was still more enjoyable getting kicked in the back of the head by this kid 3 or 4 times in the game than actually watching us play on the fucking ice. It's absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic to watch. So many – I can't even lie to you. As soon as we scored the goal, everyone left. Everybody was gone. Like, I mean, like, there were people already heading to the exit when overtime started. They knew it was over. They just knew. They just knew it was over.
Sad.
Overtime starts and everybody's just like, yep. See you later.
Let me beat the traffic instead of this misery. Yeah, that's
beat
fair.
The traffic, but we can't beat the Jets. At least we know we can always beat one Jets. Fuck.
That is true. We know we can always beat them.
Yeah.
As we move off of the Sabres, before I actually commit suicide instead of contemplating it.
It is just tying the news.
Into the NBA Cup, the qualifiers have conceded. The 4 teams for the East.
Celtics.
I don't really care. Let's see the Knicks actually win something in the postseason.
You know what, bro? At least we make it.
Over the Sabres. You're right. I thought you were talking about the Celtics. Like they just won the championship
last year.
And we're the favorites to win it again this year for good measure. But anyways, in the East, the Knicks, they won Group A at 4-0. The Bucks won Group B 4-0. The Hawks won Group C 3-1. They had the tiebreaker over my Celtics as they did have a comeback victory against them. And then the Orlando Magic won the tiebreaker over the other
Magic.
three 3-1 teams because they had a better point differential at plus 45. Detroit was also 3-1, but they were plus 7, and Boston was 3-1, but they were only plus 23. And then in the Western Conference for Group A, the Rockets won at 3-1. The OKC Thunder won at 3-1, and then the Golden State Warriors won at 3-1. So no one went 4-0 in the Western Conference. They all beat up on each other. Too many good teams. And then the fourth seed would be the Dallas Mavericks, winning at 3-1. They had a plus 46 tiebreaker, which beat the Phoenix Suns, who had a plus 30 tiebreaker. The first games for the Cup are on Tuesday, I believe. Yes,
Yep.
as the Magic take on the Bucks and the Mavericks take on the Thunder. And then Wednesday, the Hawks take on the Knicks and the Warriors take on the Rockets. And then on Saturday, the winners of those games meet in the semifinals. And then
The two winners play the finals.
And then on Tuesday. Yep, on Tuesday. So I guess we'll go over who you think's going to win each game. We'll start with the Magic versus the Bucks.
Give me Milwaukee in this one. They've looked great in this Cup tournament already. I mean, 4-0 speaks for itself. They dominated a lot. I mean, one thing about this Orlando Magic team is they only really got here via that tiebreaker. I think they'll play a good game, but I'm going to go ahead and lean Milwaukee in this one.
All right. I am actually going to go with Orlando to win this game.
Nice.
I know Milwaukee's been playing really good, but so is Orlando. They have a really good defense, and I don't think they shut down Giannis. No one can do that, but I think they can kind of slow down Giannis. And the Bucks are basically just Giannis, go win us games, and I think the Magic are going to be able to at least slow him down, where if he does hit 30 points, it'll be kind of inefficiently. I think Dame's not going to have a great game in this because they have really good perimeter defenders. And like Jalen Suggs and KCP. Yep. So I think the Magic, they have a better all-around team, better defense, and I think they win because of that. Moving on to the Mavericks versus the Thunder, who do you think wins this game?
Go ahead and give me the Mavericks here. I think Luka Doncic can dominate this game. I think that Shai's going to have a solid game too. It'll be 1-2 punch with them. I think it's just this Mavericks team's a little bit more what would I say? Just overall, like, better in a sense, like, I feel like they can do a little bit more on offense than this Oklahoma City Thunder team can. And I expect this one to be a little bit higher scoring. So, go ahead and give me the Mavericks to win this one in a tight game, probably down to the end, but I think Luka gets it done.
I'm actually also going to go with the Mavericks. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games, won 6 in a row. Since the overtime loss they had to the Heat on the 24th, this is how many points their offense has scored. 129, 129, 106, 137, 121, 137. Their offense has been absolutely electric. And a lot of those games was without Lucas. He was out for a while.
Yeah.
He is now back, and he has had back-to-back really good games. And because of that, the Thunder still being without Chet Holmgren. The Mavericks beat them last year in the playoffs. I think Luka is the best player in this game, and I think they end up winning because of that. They've just been like the better team as of late. They're the hotter team, so I think they win because of that. Moving on to the Hawks versus the Knicks in the other quarterfinals. Who do you have winning this?
I'm nervous, but I think the Knicks get this one done. I think the Hawks kind of lucked their way into it. A comeback win against the Celtics, or they wouldn't even be here. I mean, realistically, I think that this will be a fun fun basketball. Jeez, if I could speak, man. I think it'll be a fun basketball game to watch. I really like to watch my Knicks play. I think this is going to be one of the most important games we play all season, especially if we keep playing like we have. Nonetheless, though, I do think that this will be a fun game. I think we win probably. I'd like to say we win by double digits in this game. I'm very confident in that fact, but I'm just nervous because it's always my Knicks. We find some way to fuck it up. So would not be surprised to watch the Hawks just continuously rain down threes on us, especially with Trae Young. So go ahead and give me the Knicks, though, to win this one, as I have Knicks Bucks in my semifinal.
Yep, I also think the Knicks kind of win this game handily. The Hawks have been playing good basketball lately. But the Knicks also have been playing pretty good basketball. I think the Knicks, they're finally starting to figure it out, and they finally have some chemistry on that team, and I think they do win this game, probably by double digits, like you said. I don't see the Hawks' bad defense being able to stop this Knicks offense, so I think they take care of business. And we move into the final quarterfinal game as the Warriors take on the Rockets.
I might be a little weird for this, but I'm going Houston. I think Houston wins this game. The Warriors have lost a couple in a row. They haven't looked like themselves these last couple of games. And because of that, I think Houston's going to pretty much play themselves into a perfect situation here playing against Golden State. And I think they get this one done. I think it'll be very close, but I think Curry and the Warriors drop their fourth in a row, and then that'll make it Rockets versus Mavericks in my semifinal.
I actually also have the Rockets to win.
Yeah.
The Rockets been playing really good basketball lately. Ime Udoka probably right now would be my coach of the year pick. He is an absolute electric coach. That defensive, the way he's able to cook up defensively is just amazing. They don't even have a single guy averaging over more than 19 points a game, but they have 7 people averaging double digits. They're just all around great team play. They pass the ball around. Everyone eats. They have great defense. And as you said, the Warriors haven't been playing that great lately. And because of that, I think the Rockets win. As we move into now the semifinals, you have Bucks versus Celtic or Bucks versus Knicks. Who do you think wins between those two teams?
I love my Knicks, but go ahead and give me the Bucks. They have a pretty good defense this year. They've looked very solid. I think that they're going to do enough in this game to mitigate our offense. And honestly, for the Knicks, man, I don't know what it is, but we always allow that one player that's like those teams that have just one good superstar. Well, somehow we'll know they only have that one good player, and we'll still let him cook. And I think that's going to be Giannis in this game. I think they're going to play a good one, and I think they move on to the NBA Cup final.
Yeah, so I have Knicks versus Magic. They just played not too long ago, and the Knicks kind of dominated that game. And because of that, I unfortunately picked the Knicks to win that game.
Yeah.
Unless Paulo actually might be back soon. If Paulo is playing in that game, I am picking the Magic. But as of right now, I do not know if he's playing, so I'm going to pick the Knicks. I'm going to pick. I think Paulo is He's like an all NBA caliber player. I think you can make an argument he's better than anyone on the Knicks. Right now, I'd probably give the edge to Brunson between them two, but you could make that argument, and I could see it. So I think you add someone like that to the Magic, and I think they could win that game. But as of right now, since I don't know if Paulo will be back, I'm going to pick the Knicks to win that game. And then moving on to our Western Conference semi, we have the Rockets versus the Mavericks, both of us. Who do you have winning that?
Ooh, I really like the Rockets. They've looked great these last couple games, but I feel like if Luka gets on a streak, it's hard to cool him off. And I feel like if they win that first game, it's only a matter of time before he wins again. Go ahead and give me Luka Doncic and the Mavericks to win that game. It's going to be fun. It'll be definitely close. I'm excited to see what Jalen Green does against a pretty decent Maverick defense. So I'll see if he can, be the difference maker in this game. But Luka Doncic is an all-world beater for a reason, and I think he works his way into the NBA Cup final in this one. So go ahead and give me the Mavericks.
Yeah, I have Luka and the Mavericks winning this game also. They've just been playing great basketball lately, and Luka is Luka. I think the NBA players kind of
finals we all wanted, Luka and the Mavericks versus the Knicks. I wanted that so bad.
That's who you wanted. That's not who I wanted. That's not who
I'm saying that's what mostly everybody wanted, bro. Nobody wanted to see the Celtics in it again, other than Celtics fans, of course.
Nah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Fuck them kids. Fuck their dreams.
I don't know what you're talking about, but anyways, I do think the Magic win this game. Or not Magic. Why the Mavericks? I think they win this game.
Dallas Magic and the Orlando Mavericks.
Yeah. I think the Mavs win this game because I think NBA players, they kind of almost treat like these the cup, not so much the qualifiers, but once you get down to like the Final Four, they kind of treat it like a playoff game because they want to win that money for the role players on the team, the practice squad guys that are barely making it. LeBron's already said that. Katie said that. A couple other stars have said that. So they kind of treat these like playoff games. And we know how Luka is in the playoffs. He turns his game up another level. Because of that, I think they take care of the Rockets here. I think they win it. So then I have Mavs Knicks. You have Mavs Bucks. Who do you think wins between the Mavs and the Bucks?
I think it's going to be the Mavs here. I really like what Giannis has been doing, but Luka Doncic, like I just mentioned, if he gets on a hot streak, he's just going to be there. And realistically, Giannis has been kind of inconsistent, so I could see him having a good playoff. But if he doesn't come into play on that one night against the Mavericks, I feel like it's going to be done. So realistically, expect the Mavericks to get out to an early lead and then hold on to it later in the game. A shootout, in my opinion. Realistically, two of the best offenses in the league. Mavericks defense has been somewhat subpar, although decent. I do think that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to lose this one, though. Go ahead and give me the Dallas Mavericks to win the NBA Cup final.
Well, that kind of sucks that we have the exact same Literally the exact same Western Conference and literally the only difference out of all of our
I had
predictions.
the Knicks and Bucks.
You had the Bucks winning in round 1, and I had the Magic winning, and then I had the Knicks making it, beating the Magic, and you and the Bucks beating the Knicks. We were very similar in all of our picks because I'm going with the Mavs to win this game for the reasons I said earlier. Luka Doncic is going to treat this like a playoff game, and he's going to cook Damian Lillard, and him and Kyrie are going to cook the Bucks pretty dog shit perimeter defense. As I do have some breaking news in the hockey world. As Jacob Trouba, since he was just traded, they cleared up that $8 million. They went and spent that money elsewhere. They just gave Igor Shesterkin an 8-year, $92 million contract.
Whoa!
They gave that brother. They must have watched him in overtime last night and be like, pay this man immediately. Did you watch? I watched a couple of clips of that. That shit was crazy. He was on crack.
Yeah.
Well, $11.5 million a year for a goalie is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, he is worth it because he is on another level. Yeah. All right. As we move in.
I'm trying to find it here.
I just got a notification from Bleacher Report, the New York Post.
Yep, there it is. There it is.
Okay. Yep. I get like notifications from like Bleacher Report, Underdog, ESPN, Sleeper. So like anytime breaking news happens, I get like a bunch of things. I get like usually pretty quickly because I just have all those noties on. As we move into our final segment, MLB free agency. There hasn't been a lot of movement so far. There's been a couple of moves here or there. The only big signing so far is the Dodgers getting Blake Snell, unfortunately. But I will talk about that a little bit. But I want to get into kind of where we think the other top guys are going to land with. Obviously, the big marquee guy, Juan Soto, is expected to make his decision within the next couple of days. Obviously, there's multiple teams in play. I think that'll kind of be like a start, like a domino effect. I think once he signs, every other team's going to kind of scramble and go and get the other guys. I think people are waiting to see who Soto signs with because whoever signs with Soto is probably going to be out on other guys for money reasons versus if they don't get Soto, they're going to go after these guys pretty hard to make up for the loss of Soto, especially a team like the Yankees. If we lose Soto, Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner, they're probably going to go pretty hard after other people realizing we're going to get assassinated if we end up losing him and don't do that good next year because Yankees fans are crazy. Anyways, some of the other top guys, obviously there's a couple of aces on the market, Corbin Burns and Max Fried, Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso, Willie Adames, Christian Walker, Teoscar Hernandez, a couple other, Anthony Santander, Jock Peterson, Goldschmidt. We won't get into all of them, some of the bigger name guys, but those are some of the top guys in the market. There's a big guy from Japan, Rocky Sasaki, but it's reported he's probably just going to the Dodgers because of fucking course he is. Everyone goes to the Dodgers. Makes me want to kill myself. I'm a Yankees fan and I want a salary cap badly. I also want a salary floor. I think we should be forcing these small market teams to have to pay more, and I think we should be forcing these big market teams to not be able to pay as much. Like I get the Yankees are it'd probably hurt the Yankees somewhat if there's a salary cap, but I think there definitely needs to be one. I think it should be like the NBA where there's luxury taxes where you can go over, but you have to pay more money, and there's certain roster constrictions that come with going over that luxury tax.
Exactly.
Unlike in baseball where there's just a luxury tax.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, you can basically spend as much money you want as long as you have a rich enough owner. So I think that, and there's also a hard cap in the NBA where you just can't go over this certain amount. Unlike the MLB, there is no like that. So that's very annoying. But speaking of small market teams, did you see who the A's made their highest paid player in history was?
Luis
Severino. What are the A's? Like, I like Sevy. Like, I mean, he was decent.
He's just not that great.
He had some good years in the Yankees, but like,
you gotta pay him that much. He's playing for the Athletics, for Christ's sakes.
But it's funny how they refuse to pay anyone, and then they go and give this dude $22 million a year. It's kind of like with the White Sox. They weren't.
The Mets were like, "Hey, Sevy, what do you want?" Well, the Athletics are offering me $22 million. Yep. Yeah, no, that's not.
It's nice knowing you. Have fun in Sacramento.
You know, enjoy that money, man. You're in LA, so you can use it. Fuck you.
It's kind of like when the White Sox made Andrew Benintendi, the highest paid player,
stop, man.
and he's been like one of the worst hitters in the league. He has like
Feel
the worst
bad for
OPS.
him, Rockies and the White Sox. What is wrong with this guy? He loves the shit teams.
He could have played for the Yankees, but he decided to get injured as soon as we traded for him.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right, but the big thing I want to get into, the Juan Soto sweepstakes. Our two teams are the head of the pack. It's most likely going to be Yankees or Mets. Other teams involved would be the Red Sox,
Blue Jays,
Nationals. Dodgers are kind of never really can really count them out because they'll sign anyone. But the Red Sox are probably the clear number 3. But right now it's looking like Yankees or Mets. I'm assuming I know how you're going to predict. I'm assuming you know what I'm going to predict. But I'll toss it over to you. Let's see your Juan Soto prediction.
I'm going to say that he goes to the New York Yankees, not Mets.
Ooh.
I think he stays in New York with the Yankees. I think he's going to stay in the Bronx. I think somewhere in the realm of 14 years, $700 million would be perfect. An opt-out around 2030 makes a lot of sense here too. So realistically, go ahead and give me Juan Soto to stay with the Yankees. I think it's just such a good fit. As much as everyone would like to sign him, I mean, there's just not as much of a market for a player like Juan Soto for other teams that have smaller things. Even a team like the Washington Nationals, who have a ton of cap space right now, that have a ton of like different resources to use, still can't compete in a match like this when it's between two very much so heavy market teams in New York. So I think that it's going to come down to the Mets or the Yankees, unfortunately for myself. Although technically I really like this prediction just because I'm hoping that means we keep Pete. Juan Soto is going to stay a New York Yankee, in my opinion, and most likely yours as well.
Yeah, basically the exact contract too, 14 by 700. That sounds about right. I think Steve Cohen will offer a little bit more, but I think Soto will stick with the Yankees because of how much fun he had with the Yankees. These fans really embraced him, and the fact that he gets to hit in front of Aaron Judge for the next 5 to 10 years. I get the Mets have good hitters. The Mets, I'm not like discrediting Francisco Lindor or Pete Alonso or any hitter on the Mets. They have good hitters. None of them are a hitter that near the caliber of Aaron Judge. Postseason issues or whatever, none of them come close to Aaron Judge. And Aaron Judge is currently in his prime. It's not like he's slowing down anytime soon. It's not like he had a bad year last year. Like, he had the best year of his career. So he probably still has a couple more years left in his prime. And then you get to be the top dog for the New York Yankees, the most storied franchise in probably all of sports, in the biggest market. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. But have I said anything that is incorrect?
No. The Dodgers are getting there, but obviously they don't have the chips to compete with that.
Yeah, but like the Dodgers have been better recently, but like, and market wise, but it's like everyone knows the Yankees. They're like the most storied franchise in all of sports, and you get to be the top guy in the center stage. And for most of that contract, I agree they'll probably put an out somewhere, kind of like they did with the Giancarlo Stanton, in case either the Yankees become dysfunctional and he wants out, or injuries, or this, that, and the third. But I think he stays with the Yankees about a 700 mil. Should be reported in the next couple days. Winter meetings is next week. So I think I saw a lot of reports that he's going to decide before winter meetings. And then I think next week, after he decides due to winter meetings, there's going to be a lot of dominoes fall, because I think everyone's going to meet. There probably might be a couple trades that get brought down. People that miss out on Soto that are, oh crap, what are we going to do to make up for it? There may be some trades. Maybe like, I bet you Arenado probably gets traded next week because there's talks he's going to get traded. Someone like that. I bet you Teoscar Hernandez probably signs the day after Soto, because whoever misses out on Soto, they're like, oh, we're going to have to get we're going to get an outfielder then. Boom, we can get Hernandez. But I'll move into probably the next big fish with Corbin Burnes, obviously left Baltimore. Where do you think he ends up going?
I think he's going to the New York Mets, baby. I think if there's anything you can say about this New York Mets team, we absolutely need a fucking ace. It's absolutely pathetic. Trying to do a rotation of Severino and everybody else. We were doing Quintana, who looked good in the playoffs, but still, we really need an ace, and it showed. I think the dominoes have fallen after the Juan Soto move, and the Mets can shift in other directions, work towards bringing back Pete and signing an ace here. I think that's the better use of the money anyway. Go ahead and give me a 7-year, $225 million deal for Corbin Burnes. He's worth every damn penny of that money. Roughly around $32 million per season in that range, I think is perfect for a Corbin Burnes. I understand he's 30 years old, but still, I guess he will be, So realistically, I think he's a solid guy. I think he's going to bring a lot of life to that bullpen for this Mets team. And we officially have an ace, which is something we haven't had since DeGrom left for the Rangers. So go ahead and give us Corbin Burnes in this situation. I really like that fit for the New York Mets. The other situation is the Orioles.
I'm actually going to agree. I think he goes to the Mets, but I think it's if they don't get Soto. If they do get Soto,
if they get Soto, he's probably back in Baltimore or somewhere else.
I was going to say Boston. I think he goes to Boston if they don't get Soto because they're also going to be someone that misses out on Soto that's looking to spend because they look like they're willing to spend. So I think if they miss out on Soto, I think Burnes ends up going to Boston. But because I think Soto goes to the Yankees, I think that the Mets end up getting Corbin Burnes. As you said, they need it. I think he'll be somewhere in between like the Garrett Cole contract and the Carlos Rodon contract. I think like a 6-7 year, like 210-ish. I think because Garrett Cole was like 7 year 230 or something like that. I think his is going to be like a 6. We'll go 6 year 180. I think sounds right because of his age. I don't think he's going to get the long years, but I think he's going to get the term. 6 years, 180 sounds like a pretty good deal for him. I think he signs it immediately because his numbers have kind of progressed a little bit on the downhill. So I think because of that, he's not going to get the super long 7-8. I don't think he's going to hit the 200 mil just because of that. Wait, was there something else you wanted to say?
No, I didn't.
Okay, moving on to the next guy, we have Alex Bregman, World Series champion with the Astros. He's kind of been not as good the last couple years. He hasn't been bad, but he's looking to get his bag in free agency. It's great to see players leaving the Astros so they start to suck because I hate them, the stupid Houston Asterix, the Trastros, the cheaters. However you want to describe them, as long as it's negative, I agree with it. Where do you think Bregman goes?
I can't lie to you. I love this move so damn much that I really hope it happens. I really, really hope it happens. I have the Detroit Tigers signing him. He used to have the skipper that the Tigers have now, of course. He used to play for him a few years ago, and now he's going to reunite with his former skipper in Detroit, the Motor City. Probably somewhere in the line of like a 5-year 130 deal is what I'm thinking. Maybe a club option in 20, like whatever, like at the end of the deal, maybe like probably around 2030, 2029. I think it'd be perfect in a situation like that. The Tigers are an up-and-coming team that need a little bit more power in the bats. Obviously, we see Tariq Skubal absolutely pitching dominance, but the bats were very inconsistent this year. Bregman brings some consistency to that room, brings some consistency to that plate. And so for that reason alone, I think it's such a perfect fit. He's more of an older veteran presence as well for a team that's more so young that needs that veteran leadership. I view this almost like the Diggs acquisition for the Detroit Tigers, for the Houston Texans this year, where, he's coming from a team that's been very close to championships these last couple of years, just can't seem to get over the hump in the Bills and the Astros, coming to a young and up-and-coming team in the Houston Texans and in the Detroit Tigers. So realistically, I really like this fit for the Tigers. I think it's going to be perfect for them. Bregman to the Detroit Tigers, it makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, I really like that fit, but I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Phillies because they're already looking to trade.
Please no. Please no. I already have to deal with the Castellanos.
There are that they love to spend money. They're willing to spend it, and apparently, I'm just looking up a report that Bregman was offered 6-year 156 by the Astros. So if he's going to leave, he's going to get more than that. I think he'll get like a 6-year 170 by the. Maybe they might work in like a sign and trade with Houston. Maybe Houston brings them back. I don't know if this would make any sense. And then Bohm goes to Houston in like a trade or something like that. But the Phillies obviously want to shop Alec Bohm. I don't know if that really works in MLB because there's not a salary cap, but I know the Phillies really want to shop Alec Bohm, so I think they shop him and then they sign Bregman to replace him at third base. And I'll go with 6-year, 170. They're going to top Houston's offer because Philly wants to spend money if they're going to compete in the National League with how much the Mets want to spend, and obviously the Dodgers how much they're going to spend. They're going to have to spend that money too because they're clearly in a win now mode. Obviously, with all the starts they have and how disappointing last season was, I think this fit kind of just makes a lot of sense. There, as we move into our next player, Max Fried.
So, like I mentioned, the dominoes are going to fall. Juan Soto is going to go to the Yankees. The Mets are going to take Corbin Burns, and Max Fried is going to go to the Baltimore Orioles. Hear me out. I know that's a crazy fit for a lot of people, and a lot of people are like, ew, him in orange, I can't see it. Hear me out. Sasaki's probably going to be a new somewhere in La La Land, most likely the Dodgers. If he goes to the Dodgers, they already have Buehler. They already have Blake Snell, who they just
Buehler's a free agent.
Oh, well, who is the one that they brought back?
They have Glass now, Yamamoto, Snell, Sasaki,
and Ohtani if he pitches again.
And Ohtani. So they already have their 5. Yeah, Buehler's probably gone.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying here is a lot of people have tied Max Fried to the Dodgers, and I just don't see it happening. A team that really desperately needs a pitcher that's going to give him the money he wants is a team in the Baltimore Orioles. I'm thinking somewhere in the 6-year to 200 range, maybe 170, 180 range, somewhere in that range, something like that. But I do think that he has to be a fit for someone here. And I think the Orioles are a very good fit for him. He wants to be the starting guy in a rotation. This is his perfect chance to do that. The only other real option I see for him is just to head back to Atlanta. And honestly, I don't know if they can bring him back after the season he just had. I understand the Tommy John surgery hasn't looked too bad, but still, it's an interesting situation coming off back-to-back Tommy Johns, 31 years old. He's going to want a ton of money. Do you really want to lock that into your team for another 5-6 years? I just don't see him competing there. A team like Baltimore, who's very desperate, is probably going to give him a lot of money too, considering I have Corbin Burns leaving. So if that does end up happening, I think the Orioles just give him too much money to offer for the Braves end, where they're going to be like, that's just too much. We can't do it. And he's going to end up going to Baltimore.
So I have none of those teams that you just mentioned as my top 2 candidates. I think he goes to the Boston Red Sox. I think they miss out on Corbin Burns, and they're kind of scrambling because they're kind of entering a win now mode. A lot of their young guys are stepping up. They have a very good prospect pool. I think with the season they just had, went 82-82, 81-81. Obviously, they want to build on that, and they want to make the playoffs next year after a lot of their young guys kind of stepped up and have really good years. They're kind of expecting that growth. I could see them. They're going to miss out on Corbin Burns. They're going to want to give Max Fried maybe a little less. Corbin Burns 6 by 180. I think they settle for Max Fried like 6 by 170. The reason I said another team is if the Yankees miss out on Juan Soto, I think they get Max Fried. They've already met with both Corbin Burns and Max Fried, and reports are both meetings went very well. I think they're kind of finding backup options in case Soto leaves. And if Soto leaves, they're obviously not going to replace him. They're not going to be able to replace his offensive numbers, but what they can do is just build an absolute electric pitching staff that they kind of need that 5th guy because Marcus Stroman was kind of They obviously have Cole, Rodon, Clark, and then like Clark Schmidt and Luis Gil kind of look like those 4, but then it's like Nestor and Marcus Stroman are kind of So I think you go in and you get a Max Fried if you miss out on Soto to be that, just really fill out that rotation to be, my opinion, would be probably the 2nd best in the league behind the Dodgers if they got Fried. But I think they get Soto. I think the Red Sox get Fried. But earlier when we were talking about the Dodgers and I said Walker Buehler's a free agent, I would just quick tidbit. I would love him on the Yankees. I think he'd be a perfect fit. He plays great playoff baseball. I think he'd be a perfect spot in that rotation.
Believe me, I know firsthand.
He'd be that 5th guy, and then you could put Nestor as that long relief in the bullpen, and I think he could cook there where he'd have 3-4 innings at a time. I really like the fit there. Or maybe at that point, then you can, if you lose out on Soto, you go and get Max Fried. Maybe you trade like a Luis Gil or a Clark Schmidt to go and get a stud hitter or something. I don't know, but those are just hypotheticals. I think he ends up with the Red Sox. As we move into your boy, Big Meat Pete Alonso, where do you think he ends up?
I think he's coming home. I think he's coming back to the Mets, man. I pray to God he comes back. I'm thinking somewhere in the I've heard a lot of reports around 5 years, 130 to 140. So I'll go right middle there, 135. I think he's a perfect fit for this Mets team. We absolutely need to keep him at first base. The only other first baseman that's even worth a damn in this class is Christian Walker of the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think he ends up probably going back. Spoiler, not sure if we're going to get into him or not. I think there's a good chance that he ends up going back, but I do think that for the New York Mets, we absolutely have to keep him, especially losing Juan Soto. You have to find a way to keep the bats up somehow. Pete Alonso's your guy here. I understand he didn't have the greatest year at the beginning. Heated it up at the end, but I think that he's going to be enough for this team. Him and Corbin Burns will be an absolute haul. I'd be very ecstatic as a Mets fan to have that happen. But I please, for the love of God, if anything else happens, if the Sabres burn to the ground, please let Pete Alonso stay a New York Met.
Yeah, I think he also returns to the Mets because they miss out on Soto. Obviously, he is beloved there by the team. A lot of talks was he was going to leave when they were bad, but then he heated up at the end of the year. He obviously had that big hit against the Brewers that sent him into the next round. Obviously, the Mets fans love him. I think he just returns back and tries to build on what happened last year with the run they went on. Not really much speculation there. I think if they miss out on Soto, I think it's just easy. But you did talk about Christian Walker. I did want to bring him up because I don't think he returns to the Diamondbacks. I actually think he goes to the Yankees, even if we get Soto. Anthony Rizzo's not coming back. We kind of have a hole there. Do you really think that? Why can't I even think of his name? I can't even think of the Yankees up and coming first baseman. Keep thinking of Greg Bird, and that's obviously not it. The Yankees first baseman that came when Rizzo was injured, and I'm blanking on his name, and it's really pissing me off.
Volpe. Who's the other guy there? Oh,
I'm blanking on it. As soon as I can recognize his name, but I just can't think of. I can recognize his face, but I can't think of his name, and that is what's pissing me off. Why can't I think of him? Ben Rice. That's who I'm thinking of. Ben Rice. I just don't think he is. I just don't think he's decent, but I think he's going to be like a platoon guy. I don't think he's ever going to be a full first baseman because he is really bad against lefties. He's only somebody who can really put in against righties. I understand everyone loved Ben Rice because he had a couple of crazy good games, but overall he didn't have a great stint last year for the Yankees. So I think they try and go and get a Christian Walker while they let him to continue to develop. And I just love that fit there. He's basically just a better version of what Anthony Rizzo was for us. Great defensive, obviously, brings some power to the bat, and he's a Dodger killer. So if we make it back to the World Series, we know at least one person that'll hit against him, and that's Christian Walker. So I just want to touch base on him. You think he's going back to the Diamondbacks?
No, I don't think he's going back to the Diamondbacks. I'm thinking he could. I think personally he goes to Washington. I think Washington needs to make a splash move. They really need a first baseman. They're going to have a little bit more resources with the cap than the Yankees are because they're going to have to bring back Soto. I think that they're going to probably give him something in like a 3-year, $75 million. I could see realistically try to overpay and get your guy. I think that's very aggressive management for Washington right now. I think they're going to go and make a move, and this is their splash move for free agency. Go out and reacquire a solid first baseman here, and go ahead and just give him Christian Walker. I think
that's fair. All right, as we move on we have 3 guys left to talk about: Willy Adames, Anthony Santander, and Teoscar Hernandez. We'll start with Willy Adames. Where do you think he goes?
I really want to say he goes back to Milwaukee. I really, really do. But there's something brewing for one team specifically that I would absolutely die if he went there, and that's the San Francisco Giants. I would love this fit so goddamn much. I think he is being deemed one of the best players there. 7-year, 180, 190 range, something perfect for him. I really would love to see like a 185 kind of deal, maybe an opt-out after 5 or 6 years. I think he's just a very good player, and he fits what they need. Like you mentioned with the Yankees, they can't go out and get Soto back, go and acquire some pitching help. They couldn't keep their pitcher in Blake Snell. They come out and just say, screw it, we're going to go balls to the wall with bats then. Go out and get Willy Adames. If he doesn't go back to the Brewers, I love the Giants fit. I think that's perfect for them. Go ahead and give me the San Francisco Giants to make a splash move this free agency.
I kind of annoyed you said the Giants because that's who I said. That was who I thought it was going to be. Also, I think it's a perfect fit. I mean, imagine. Will a single baseball get through the left side of that infield if they bring back Willy Adames with him and Matt Chapman?
No, with
Not
how
a
good he
single.
played last year, no.
Yeah, their shortstop last year was Marco Luciano. Like, ugh. Their shortstop was not very good. Then you have Tiara Estrada. Their infield defense becomes absolutely insane if they get Willy Adames. I love that fit there too. Think losing Blake Snell, they've been kind of needing hitters. It just seems like a match made in heaven. If the Yankees, and I saw reports that the Yankees miss out on Soto, they might go after him hard. They'd probably end up moving him to second base to replace Gleyber Torres, who it looks like isn't coming back. It looks like my quick prediction for Gleyber Torres would be the Mariners, but we're not going to get into him. I think Willy Adames to the Giants just makes so much sense. I think they actually overpay for him a little bit, so I think he gets 7-year, $200 million. I think he gets the absolute bag. Them missing out on Snell, they need to go and do something to keep up in that division with the Padres and the Giants. I think they kind of overpay for Adames, even though it's a match made in heaven. I think they give him a little more than what is expected. So give me 7-year, 200 with probably an opt out. I would say after 4 years, in case. That just seems like a team that want to opt out. Yeah. Moving in, we have the two outfielders that are likely to get big contracts in lieu of the Juan Soto signing. As teams are probably desperate after these guys leave. And Anthony Santander, where do you think he goes?
Kansas City Royals. That's where I think he goes. I think this is going to be a two-team race, I should say. It's going to be between the Detroit Tigers and the Kansas City Royals. Both teams from that AL Central. I think they'll be very closely knitted in this battle. However, they did get Bregman already. I think you got to leave something here for, a potential midseason situation. I think they're going to play it smart and safe and lean back a little bit. However, on the opposite side, Kansas City really needs a bat pretty damn badly. We saw it in the playoffs where their bats just couldn't come to life. Bobby Witt was practically carrying that damn team, and it's so sad for him. I think that they finally go out and get their guy in in Anthony Santander. I'm thinking somewhere in the 5-year, 110 range, something like that would be a really good deal for him. So I'm expecting big things from this Kansas City Royal front office around the 20 to 23 million range per season. So you're coming to Kansas City and you're going to like an Anthony Santander. I think that this could be a damn good baseball team if they bring him in.
I really do like that fit, but I'm going to go with the team you mentioned earlier, the Washington Nationals. I think they're a team that kind of at the end of kind of showed some flashes last year. They have some young guys with CJ Abrams and Dylan Cruz. They have some young bats there that could really step through. But I like Santander because he can play multiple positions. You can play left field, right field. You can even start him at first base, which the Orioles did. And the Nationals need a first baseman. So I think this kind of fits in perfectly here. I like him for the Nationals. I think they're slowly starting to come out of the rebuild. And I think this is a perfect veteran piece to help them advance that so they can start to show more and more potential as we move into our final player, Teoscar Hernandez.
I have the Boston Red Sox getting him. I love the fit for him to go to Boston. They really need an outfielder badly, especially in that left field, and I think that's right where he'll fit. The 33 homers from this past season. I understand he was playing against pitchers that were pretty fatigued and had to pitch directly at him considering the rest of that lineup, but still think despite his advanced age being 32 in 2025, I'm going to have to go ahead and say around a 3 to 4-year deal, and I'm going to say around $54 million. I'd like to say $18 million a season for him, maybe a little bit more if the Dodgers are back in the hunt for him, which I very much so doubt if they're going to be in their entire pitching situation that they've got going on. But I'm going to have to go ahead and lean for the Boston Red Sox to go out and get this guy. I really love the fit of Teoscar Hernandez for the Boston Red Sox. I just think he's going to be perfect there. I think that they definitely need a pitcher as well, but if they can get Teoscar Hernandez and one of the big-name pitchers, I think that the Boston Red Sox could be a damn good baseball team next year. So go ahead and keep them in the hunt of this playoff race. And this is a big move for a team that's trending towards that win now section. So go ahead and give me Teoscar Hernandez to the blue and red.
I actually don't I actually don't really love the Teoscar Hernandez fit to Boston because they have some young guys coming through. I feel like they'd only want to move off from those guys if they're getting someone to the Juan Soto caliber. So I'm going to pick a different team that misses out on Juan Soto, and I'm going to pick your New York Mets. I think this is a perfect fit. Harrison Bader was their starting center fielder last year. I think what you can do is either put Hernandez there or you can move Starling Marte over to center field and you put Hernandez in at right.
We have Tyrone Taylor to play center field.
Yeah, but Teoscar Hernandez is a lot better than Tyrone Taylor. Are you saying over Starling Marte?
No, I'm saying just over Teoscar Hernandez because I mean, what's the point in bringing in another guy in the offseason if we have Tyrone Taylor to be there? So Bader was just the speedy guy that we had, that we could use if need be when Taylor wasn't really playing his best baseball. But at the end of the season, he started heating up. He started playing really good, and he was one of the bigger surprises of the team. He had, I think, 27 home runs last season. So realistically, very good season from him. And I think Hernandez would be a good fit for us, yes, but I just don't think there's any room. And I don't think that with how much we're going to be in on, like money we're already spending on Alonso to come back and in my prediction, Corbin Burnes as well. So I don't know if we can spend that much money to go out and get him. However, I mean, I like what you're cooking there because that'd be sick as hell to have Teoscar Hernandez. I'd be excited.
I think
team in the NLCS to send us to the World Series this time.
Because I think outside of Pete Alonso, they're really missing that number 2 power guy.
I think Willie Adames would be a guy I'd love to go and get.
I think that would be nice. But I mean, Francisco Lindor can have some power to him. But like Teoscar Hernandez is a known power guy. He's going to consistently get you 30 plus home runs. So I really like that because I feel like there's more room in the Mets outfield than the Red Sox because the Red Sox just had Willer Abreu, who was one of the best rookies last year. And they obviously have Jarren Duran. And then they have Roman Anthony, the number 1 prospect in baseball, who's coming up next year, and Tyler O'Neill. So I just think there's a little more room at the Mets. I think the Mets would go after him a little more than the Red Sox. Just because I think the Mets last year they seemed to have a lot of guys who were like decent at offense and kind of just like put together. But that style of offense usually doesn't win you World Series. It isn't super consistent because if one guy is not doing good, then they're relying on everyone to do their parts. Of one guy slumping, that's where if you add someone like Teoscar Hernandez, it's like, all right, we know you're consistent. You might strike out a decent amount, but you're getting 30, 35 bombs every year. So I really like the fit there. I think they miss out on Soto. And Steve Cohen is just like, all right, I'm missing out on Soto. I'm going to go spend all that money I'm going to spend on Soto. I'm going to go spend everywhere else to make this team better. AK getting an ace, AK getting Pete Alonso, AK also getting Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, overall, this free agent class is just loaded. This is one of the better free agent classes of recent memory. Like, I mean, you have Soto, Burnes, Fried, Bregman, Teoscar Hernandez, Willie Adames. Like, there are the big money spenders are good. There's going to be a gap, even bigger of a gap that was built over the last couple of years. But I'm excited to see where Juan Soto goes because like Arson Judge going to the Giants, Juan Soto going to the Mets.
That would be
so. The dude that tweeted out Arson Judge appears headed to the Giants, he better tweet out like if he knows that he's going to the Yankees, he better tweet out like a Juan Soto going to the Mets because just for the meme. I understand you're a Mets fan, you might not find that as funny, but as a Yankees fan, because of the Arson Judge thing, that would just be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, but that's all we have for today's episode. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. I hope you guys all have a great weekend.
Thank you.